Welcome to Tabletop Gaming Guild. Tabletop Gaming Guild is all about the experiences and memories that playing tabletop game with friends and families can create. And today we'll be doing a newbie starter kit. So if you're trying to introduce somebody to the world of board gaming and hobby gaming in general, these might be some games you might want to introduce them to. But before we get to that, we are going to start with the news.
I'll go ahead and I'll just start off with my topic because I caught off guard a little bit there. And, I like talking about things. One thing I was interested in real quick was going to be the Star Wars Unlimited, which is going to be coming out from Fantasy Flight Games. It's not going to be till 2024. And this is going to be, I believe, another LCG game. But it has like a sort of, it's not stills, it's drawn art. So I do like that. If I want the stills, I'll play the original Star Wars CCG, which I liked a lot. And I had stills for literally every second of the movie. And they zoomed into areas and had every little section of every second of the movie.
And every character in like the Mos Eisley Tavern had a name.
Exactly. So that was a beautiful one where no one ever does space. But that's okay. Now, we could all have our little Omni box and go crazy with it.
Yeah. Well, didn't they also have like a 2-player Star Wars LCG?
They did have a 2-player Star Wars LCG that came out probably about 8 or 9 years ago. Fantasy Flight.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, but a lot of people did. So it did. First off, in the CCG, the word elegant is at least 5 times in the first paragraph. There was no word elegant in this new version of the 2-player one. But it's a little different. It's like a push or pull style game. It's definitely a dueling game. Not that Star Wars CCG wasn't, but Star Wars CCG was all based on your deck. Once your deck ran out, you've lost the game. With the 2-player one, it's once I can't remember, force points got to something or whatever. But you got to some number, you won or lost. This one looks really cool. I like the art. I'm really excited about it. I just like Star Wars. The only other piece, go ahead.
I was about to say also there wasn't also I think just recently Star Wars Deck Builder.
I think there was a Star Wars deck builder. I don't know what it is.
I know that there is because then we'll preview. I might have played one recently.
Yeah, I don't. If you can find the name for that. The last Star Wars game that I've actually played was Star Wars Outer Rim, and that's pretty much taken my Star Wars world. And the next one up that I really liked was Star Wars Imperial Assault. That was an amazing game too. And Star Wars Rebellion. They've been on a roll with Fantasy Flight with really good Star Wars games. So I'm excited.
The Star Wars deck builder is called Star Wars the Deck Building Game.
Well, then it's probably awful.
I just found it. Yeah.
Is it awful?
It's actually pretty decent.
Well, it has an awful name.
It has an awful name, though.
Yeah, it's an awful name.
Fantasy Flight.
Yeah. Well, they didn't call this Star Wars the board game. They called it Star Wars Rebellion.
Well, it wasn't
because there's already a game called Star Wars, the board game, I assume.
They're probably. I almost guarantee you there is one called Star Wars the board game, and also this one is, if not, it's definitely the same font and everything for Star Wars Rebellion, the video game, and it definitely feels a lot like it. So I think they were going off that too. But
there was in 2011 Star Wars board game.
Yeah, I guarantee you there was Star Wars the board game. The other one is a weird piece of news for me, but I have been wanting a fighting kart style game. So think Mario Kart. I want that in a board game. There's been a bunch that have tried and they have all failed. So Brotherwise Games, which they do really good on most of their games, is coming out with Dungeon Kart, which is, if you've ever played Boss Monster, all those Boss Monsters, which the Boss Monster is all like your Nintendo style 2D art, little pixelated art. And they have a ton of monsters for that, and a ton of like really cool characters that I would love to see in a cart style version. So I'm super excited to see what they do with that, and that's going to go to Kickstarter. So of course it's going to be all deluxeified. It's a little scary because the pictures they put out, all the figures that are played in the game are painted, like fully painted. So I have, if they don't have a non-painted version, I'm very scared of what the price is for this game. And since I've had 100% burn on every type of game for this, I don't know if I'm going to spend like hundreds of dollars on it. But those are my two big pieces of news.
All right. Well, I mean, I have one, and that's kind of getting into Magic the Gathering. They're expanding standard to 3-year cycles now,
Which is huge amount of cards since they release every 2 days now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Like all those secret lair drops and everything. Yeah. I mean, and that also means that like there's gonna be so much like especially if you get a dominating like deck build like Rakdos is right now. Like that just extends out like its influence. But I mean, then you also get a lot more interaction and like, I don't know. If I was still actively playing a lot, it would actually kind of be interesting because, it's going to be a little bit longer. That cards kind of stay in cycle. So, that's going to probably boost the value of some of the cards, or at least keep them up longer.
The other thing is they just basically took standard, got rid of it, is what they did. And it's modern. So they're just calling modern standard basically at this point. But the other thing that'll happen is it's either going to devaluate or extremely increase the value of new releases. Since they're re-releasing like super powered cards constantly, if they continue on that paradigm, that'll make new releases super valuable.
I think it'll make the base, like the boxes, maybe of those sets more valuable than they otherwise would have been. But I feel like it's going to devalue the cards that they're reprinting, obviously.
Oh, no, they're I'm pretty sure they're tanking the entire MTG market.
Yeah.
In general. I'm just talking about people that are going to be playing that format for the value of cards to them.
Yeah.
So when I played Magic, I only played Modern. So you generally pick your what your format you're playing, and that's what you do because the cards can be very, very expensive. And if you're spending all that money, you want to make sure that, you get the most play out of it, and it's normally picking a format. So those people who pick standard are going to have a bigger pool of cards, which is going to cost them more money. And then it's going to come down to that standard is the biggest one they have for their sales, for the sales for them. So they could be shooting themselves in the foot, meaning if they have a very powerful release with a lot of really cool cards that you need, and then the next couple releases are like normal releases, those cards are going to be worthless to standard players.
I mean, thing is though, is that really any different than what happens? Because I mean, just take a look at like Legion. Like that one did not keep value very much at all.
It's going to be
then, like, it didn't take till later, but like Odyssey Block, I remember that one being like gutter. And then as like kind of things got older and like people discovered a few things, like a few of the cards went up.
That's when it went into Legacy. But yeah. So the problem comes, and the reason why this is a problem, normal standard, your sets go out with I think 3 or something very close. No more than like a year normally.
It used to be 3, but I thought they switched to 4, but then they switched back to 3 or something.
I don't know. It wasn't very many sets. So now you have a lot of sets. And the problem is now that you have a lot of sets, it's more risky for that new set that had crappy cards in it in the past might have been good enough for standard. Meaning, but now that you have a bigger pool, that might not be the case anymore. Especially with, them beating up people that spoil the cards. I'm pretty sure it's going to become more popular to spoil the cards now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Are you thinking? What do you think overall? Good, bad, indifferent?
I would say interesting.
Yeah.
Like if I was still playing, I would be kind of excited to see how it plays out.
So I like modern. So this is more modern. So it'd be
It,
more my type of format. But I don't know how.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I would need a standard player to see what they think.
I mean, I kind of played standard, but I was more limited, like booster drafts and sealed deck. That was my jam,
Yeah.
which also is not conducive for wanting to, not spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
So, Evan, should we come back when they're done talking about Magic?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Evan and I know played Magic.
It stopped almost 10 years ago.
Oh, aren't we the best? Okay.
Oh,
I got out of the
I
the
quit
cult.
Magic before it was cool to quit Magic.
Yeah, I quit in the 90s, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So does Evan or Nathan have any news they want to share? I think Evan does.
I have two pieces that I want to go over. So one, Days of Wonder recently came out and said Heat Pedal to the Metal, which in the United States has been very, very hard to get, but yet oddly enough at Canada you could get for $5.
Makes sense. It's Canada, but go ahead.
But it is going to be out within the next month, a reprint of it, so it'll be readily available again. Very popular game right now, but very, very hard to get. So a lot of people are going to be very happy with that. I know we have it on our schedule here very soon to play, and very excited to do that. So that'll be great for all those people trying to find a copy of it and can't, short of paying exorbitant prices. I saw on a resale site somebody was trying to hawk one off for $120.
Wow.
I mean, it is probably my favorite racing game. Right now.
Yeah, it's top 100 on BGG right now. So,
I do
but
like
yeah,
a good racing game.
Going to be out here soon. So, the other thing I'm going to talk about, and I actually was going to post something on our Discord about it in our news section, but I decided not to. I was going to save it for tonight just to see what people say about this. So, the inflation of pricing on Kickstarter. So, we're going to be talking about a game in particular that is Six Siege, put out by Mythic Games. So it
Mythic's
kickstarted.
already expensive, but go for it.
So it kickstarted in 2001.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my pricing. I already have it here on my phone. In 2001, there were 3 tiers that you can get into, and like it has miniatures and a lot of cool stuff in it. It's basically Rainbow Six board game, but legally distinct. So the basic was $96 or no, $69. Deluxe was $199, and the premium was $269.
Ouch! Still, yeah.
Very pricey. And that was pre-shipping costs. So then it goes into backer kit or whatever they use at that point. I think it was backer kit. You had to pay shipping separately, and shipping was pretty pricey, and you were paying per item on that. But we've all seen shipping costs go up because of the post-plague world that we were in. Shipping costs from overseas got ridiculous there for a little while, and still are fairly high.
Yeah.
But people kicked in their high cost for that. Well, Mythic actually just came out and said to all their backers, we need to ask you for more money, or you can get a refund. But we're only allowing a X amount of refunds per month. So you have to ask early.
Which makes sense. That makes sense. That's fair.
Now, the examples are, well, let me see. If you got the basic, is an extra $39. The next tier was an extra $99, and if you got the big one, is an extra $129. So,
yeah. When did this get kickstarted again?
2001.
So it's been 20 years?
Or 2000. 2021.
Okay, I'm like, so
Okay,
it's
yeah, I was
been
about to say, it's like, did Kickstarter even exist then?
2021.
like they've
So
been
2
waiting on this
years.
game for 20 years.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Oh, it's not
like,
Kingdom
what is
Death
this, Nuke
Monster.
forever?
So in 2 years now they are asking, and this is just, it's not shipping additional costs that they're asking. This is just to get their game.
Yeah.
So they did this with their previous Kickstarter, where they said, we need this if you can do it, but you'll probably get your game if you don't, but we really need this to make sure that it gets across the finish line. This one, they're saying flat out, if you do not pay this, you will not get your game. And
It's nice
I don't
that
know
they're
how
offering a refund because they actually don't have to.
it is, but from what I understand and from what I'm reading, is the amount of refunds that they're opening up per month is a ridiculously low number.
I mean, you have
Like
to think of it this way
ridiculously
too.
low.
Like they've paid for this. And the refunds are probably coming off their bottom line, meaning they have to get the money from somewhere else. So they already paid for this product. They found they don't have enough money for this product. So they're all their money's gone for this. They have sold other games, so they have some money. I think anyone should be counting themselves lucky that they're even doing a refund, because Kickstarter is basically, unfortunately, it is you're investing in the potential of something to happen. It's no guarantee. It's not a pre-order system. It's not you're ordering a game. It's that you're investing in this company to try to do something. And they may or may not give you a reward. They may or may not be able to do it. So they could have just said, I'm sorry, guys, we just can't make this game anymore. And no one got their game. Which seems to be what's happening with Chai Tea for 2. That one looks, I don't think anyone's getting their games or refunds. Money's just gone. They're a very small company. I highly doubt they have any money in the reserve. I really hope I'm wrong on that. But yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely not the only companies to do this. A lot of companies actually have done this. And it's the idea of, there's not, board game hobby is not a huge profit maker yet. And
that's somewhat true.
for some, there's a couple big companies. For the most part, a lot of these publishers can't afford to eat the extra costs that they were incurring for this huge increase in shipping costs. So they had to come up with some other ideas.
Probably production too, but yeah.
Yeah. And otherwise, they just have no way of actually fulfilling without some way of covering some of the cost.
And part of the problem is purchasing these things overseas, so they literally can hold these hostage. So I think in the future you're going to see more and more stuff opening up, and maybe Panda or other type of distributors inside the United States that make games getting more business, even though the game's going to cost more. At least you can be guaranteed for the most part that this is the cost of your game, not, hey, I'm going to pay you $10. I'm on the other side of the world. You know what? It's 20. What are you going to do?
I follow along with a lot of that, but in this situation with how they've done it, I mean, it is not an excess in shipping that's causing the issue, because we've already charged a larger amount than what originally was thought for shipping, and people have paid that. But I get that the increase of cost of like paper itself has pretty much doubled. Labor in China has effectively doubled. But I mean, we're almost 25 to 50% of what we pledged. Now you have to pay an additional on top of. So it is a big amount to get your game.
Yeah, I'm going to flip a little bit. Companies like CMON, who do their work and verify and figure out cost down to the penny, are examples of companies that do a good job on Kickstarter and in general in life. I feel safe in general. Now maybe they'll go bankrupt and I'll be like thrown out the window for it, but in general, I only back on Kickstarter. Either it's a low amount of money and I don't care about losing it, or it's a company that I know I'm pretty much guaranteed that they will deliver, like Simon or whatnot. Mythic has had a long history of bad things, running low on money, having to do big sales, having to, like you said, ask for more money on Kickstarters. Right, there's some red flags popping up, and then you have this where yes, they messed up. So you had this history before, but they still backed the game. So they still invested in them. It's their fault that they couldn't figure out how to add things together in price wise. But now hopefully that people will have buyer beware next time and be aware that this is most definitely going to happen because they mismanage everything.
Yeah, you said a key word there. It's like people have to remember Kickstarter's not really a shopping site. It's an investment site. You're investing in the opportunity, the chance that this game will succeed.
And like any investor, you should do your research on the company. So games like Steeped Games and games like Mythic, you should research how they performed in the past and what people are saying. Like if you go on Kickstarter, you can look at all their previous products and look how those campaigns turned out. And you can research the company in general. Now, if it's the first time the company's ever been on Kickstarter, you just have to feel if you want to roll the dice or not.
And some of them they're really hard to tell without going super deep. And Mythic, I do think, is one of that it is harder to tell without going into super hard. Because if you look onto the surface, you see a bunch of games that have been fulfilled. You see games such as like Darkest Dungeon that raised 5.6 million. Like on a surface level, it looks good.
Yeah, but you got to go look at the comments and you have to look at the updates.
So I'm not a fan of how they drop this on to people. How they're handling it is not good at all. And obviously it's probably going to hurt them in the future.
Well, they won't
especially
have
how
a
this
future
goes.
if they create a run. So if everyone's doing the refunds, eventually they're going to not be able to do refunds anymore. And then that might be the end of them. They may be able to sell off some of the stuff when it comes in to try to do it. But like, it's really bad if a couple people pay and then everyone else wants a refund.
I think they're going to get into the trend of some of these companies that they are kickstarting their next game to pay for their previous game. And
that's
I think
also
that's
a big warning sign. I know you're not supposed
where they're going to
be able to do a Kickstarter when you already have a Kickstarter still unfulfilled, but that's gone out the window complete with Kickstarter. Even though it's on their thing that you can't do it, everybody does it.
Yeah, just because like 6 right there, and there's 2 more that they have after that, and like obviously we're talking about it right now, it's unfulfilled. So
yeah, so it's sad, but it's just like if you invest in something and it tanks, and it's like with the way that, like, if you get those emails from Mythic where like 33% off sale, 50% off sale all the time of their stuff, it was like I already had a bad feeling happening with them, which is unfortunate.
they have some cool stuff.
Their games look awesome, and their miniatures.
Yeah.
But
so should we talk about are we allowed to talk about the big news for Butler natives?
Oh yeah, go for it. It's already opened.
I mean, I think you know a lot more than I do, so I think you'd be the best one to talk about it.
So if you live in around the Butler area, or Butler, PA, that is, your parents' basement, which is a gaming facility that's in a decommissioned bank. So it's a huge thing. There's this giant vault door in there, and the vault door itself is like 2 feet thick and 8 feet tall. It weighs like a bazillion pounds. It's a really, really cool building. and they have basically a gigantic game library that you go in, you just pay a flat fee, you get to play it all day long. They have a maker space, they have escape rooms, and they're going to be doing a lot more stuff. So I know I'm going to be spending some time down there because it's just amazing people, and it's amazing building, and it's an amazing idea. We don't have anything like that in Butler. We don't really have like a gaming spot in Butler that is like that. We have that's open all the time. It's nice, it's bright, it's amazing. So super happy about that. Super happy that they finally got to get opened up. I'll put a link down in the description there to their website if you want to check it out. But that, yeah, your parents' basement. Nathan, did you have any other news?
Oh, and side note that too, if you want to learn more about them too, we had an interview with them.
That is true.
Check that out.
And we are awesome. So
No,
Nathan? No?
I don't have any other news.
The last piece that I want to throw up that Evan didn't mention was Prelude 2 coming to Kickstarter. I'm not sure I'm too excited about this. I mean, there's a lot of expansions for Terraforming Mars, and Prelude by far was the best. It was a mini expansion, and it pretty much has everything I ever want in an expansion, and it really does improve the game that is already great. Prelude 2 looks like a much bigger game with the same name as the Prelude expansion, and it's going on Kickstarter. So I'm not sure. I don't need a ton more mechanics in this game. If they just have Prelude cards, great.
Well, I mean, I think this is really interesting, and I think it was really smart of them to actually dub it as Prelude 2. I don't think I've ever seen another game do that, have a sequel to an expansion, per se.
Oh, that's because it's like their major only good expansion.
But yeah, I mean, that was the only
Only
reason
good
I'm even
expansion.
considering this is because I did really like the Prelude expansion. Otherwise, I would not even consider getting another expansion for
No, I'm
Terraforming
sorry.
Mars.
John was making faces. I'm sorry. They had an expansion that was simply a board. That was okay.
Yeah, that one was all right.
That one was all right. It wasn't amazing or anything.
I liked Venus Next.
Venus Next was okay. I think the floaters definitely get diluted. So if you're going to be playing with Venus Next, you don't play with other expansions, so that you have a chance to do that strategy if you want.
Yep.
Or do the reviewer method of shuffling the expansion cards into the top half of the deck.
That's also called cheating, but yeah, we're good. We're good. I think that's a dice tower thing.
Yeah, it is.
So John, you were going to say something?
Yeah, you know what? There is one other bit of local news. There's a new gaming store opening up in New Kent.
Oh, really?
At the end of May, yeah.
Is it
it's
like
called
do they sell games?
Yeah, they sell games like Magic. So I don't know if they're gonna have any like playing space or not, but it's opening up downtown in New Kent.
I'll have to go check that out. If they're not selling comics, they probably have play space.
Yeah, I don't think that they're selling any comics. I think it's all board games, tabletop, Magic. So I mean, if they're selling Magic and that's kind of like one of their big things on there, then they definitely are going to have playing space.
Yeah, they'll probably definitely have playing space for that because they want to run those tournaments. They want to run those pre-releases. They want to run those big things that's going to make them the big money. Most stores like that I've talked to, about 50 to 60% of, or in the past at least, 50 to 60% of their whole sales was Magic.
I mean, I know gaming shop I used to hunt, I might have bought 2 boxes every release,
Which is like $200+.
Yep.
Just bam. But yeah.
I didn't have I didn't have a lot of other expenses. What can I say? Was also young and stupid.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering. That got me most of my board game library.
If you don't mind, if I start with the games I played recently, because it kind of relates to what we've been talking about.
What we've been playing. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so I finally got back to going to my local game store for their game nights.
Okay.
First time in a couple of years because of all the things going on, and I've had a lot of issues myself. but I really enjoyed it as always. And I played 2 games while I was there. I played Patchwork, which I played before. It's a nice, light 2-player game where you're
Button economy.
you're using the button. You're going around you got the clock face, and you're picking patches from the clock face. You can go take tiles that are up to 3 spaces away, and you have to pay for it with your buttons, and then put it on your quilt. And it has that time mechanic of if you certain pieces take a certain amount of time to put into your quilt, so you're moving forward, and whoever's furthest back on the time track is the next player. So you could potentially have several turns in a row before the next person gets to go.
Ah, that's pretty. That's Uwe Rosenberg, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Oh, there, it's right there too.
It is one of his lightest games.
Yeah,
and
it's it's
definitely light compared to most of his games, and it's probably my second favorite. And I might be talking about my favorite Uwe Rosenberg game later.
So that was there's 3 of them that were similar. So there's Patchwork, Cottage Guardian, and Indian Summer, I think was the third. And they're all polynomial style games, and each of them sort of had a little bit more of to them, with Patchwork being the least amount of rules to it. But yeah.
The other game that I played was completely the opposite.
You hated it.
I played Barrage.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is basically, if From Software's ever designed a board game, it would be this board game. This is a game that is unforgiving.
Oh, I like those games. I need to play Barrage.
The rules aren't that complicated, but everything is a multi-step process. So if you want, the whole purpose of this game is you're building dams to block the water, and you want to send it through turbines to get to your power plant. But you actually have to build those dams. You have to build those power plants. You have to build the turbines, and you have to actually take an action also to actually be able to push the water through. And it takes a lot of steps to get anything done. So if you make mistakes, you are paying for them. This is my first time playing it, and my first action was a bad mistake. And I spent the rest of the game trying to fix it. But I still really enjoyed it because it did make me feel smart. I was constantly planning ahead. It did hurt my brain a little bit, but the like mental exercise of it, and having to think this through, and having to react to people unintentionally sabotaging me because they don't know my plans and they're just doing things for the best things, but it's completely blocking me. So you plan several turns ahead, but you have to be able to adjust constantly.
I like it.
Though there is a bit of a tick against it, the production value is awful.
Yeah, I heard the everything was warping in it too.
I did notice a little bit of that, but all the resources are these little tiny pieces that all look very similar, and it's I mean, they could have changed the colors of them or done anything to make them and made them a little bit bigger. But actually, the resource management was also another unique element. When you bought something, you put it into a wheel, and you put your resources you spent in the wheel, and you don't get those back until you've turned this wheel a number of times to actually unlock them again. So you have to take a bunch of actions or build a bunch of things or take actions that cause your wheel to turn extra. So it makes all your resources go almost immediately, and you're always feel poor.
Like in real life.
Yeah. But yeah, that was Barrage.
All right. Well, have you finished Frosthaven yet?
I have not. I'm still playing that. I am very close to finishing, but I am getting to the point where it's like, okay, I need a break a little bit. I've played a few other things for a little while and played just here and there now. I'm not playing it every single night anymore.
But then that means you have to put it away.
No, I'm not putting it away. It is
It's just
permanently
a
on the
permanent
table.
table that's lost forever.
I have a separate table for eating dinner on.
Oh, okay.
See, you never have the cursed part of setting it back up if you never put it away.
Yeah, exactly.
For Frosthaven, that's not, unfortunately, not entirely true because you do have to set up each scenario. You just don't have to take all the components out necessarily again. You just have to, but keeping them organized is a real hassle. Constant struggle trying to keep that organized.
All right. How about Evan? What have you been playing, Evan?
I haven't got a lot to the table recently. One that I did get, I'm going to actually save because I'm going to be talking about it in our next section. So, other than that, I'm going to actually rewind time a little bit and talk about a game that I played a few weeks ago and actually got to play it with John, but we didn't get to talk about it because we haven't had a chance to really talk about games we played recently. But that is The King's Dilemma.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we started a campaign of The King's Dilemma. We got through three games of that so far, and it is probably the most intriguing and most interesting game I have played in a long time, where pretty much everything you do does feel like it is important and meaningful. And I will say it you could classify it as a spoiler, but not really. The most debate that happened in our game was when we had to decide if we were going left or right, and there was no other instructions on the card, and there was a debate by everybody at the table probably for 10 to 15 minutes on whether we were going left or no, it was down or left. That was the choices.
Yeah.
We had no information other than that, and that was the biggest topic that we talked about. I mean, there was jousting and like executions of people when like
I'm part of team down.
Like there was all sorts of just stuff, but down or left. And there was just a lot of interesting topic conversations that came up. Lots of good wheeling and dealing. This game, I mean, is definitely not for everybody. You have to be kind of interested in a narrative style game like this in order to really enjoy it. But if you can get the right group that would be interested in a narrative game,
like let's say English teachers,
yes,
or people that like reading.
Mm-hmm. If you get a group that is interested in that kind of style game and wants to play it not necessarily to win, but to enjoy the story through the entire journey, it is fantastic.
No, that wouldn't be me. I'm the one that ruins Charterstone. I just spam stuff. Like, you aren't unlocking anything? Nope.
So
I think you would like it. You can't break it like Charterstone.
You can't. There's no way you can. Unless you like go through and like read.
Oh, that's a challenge.
Yeah. No, there's really no way you could.
No, you would have to literally read through all of the envelopes to know where things happen in order to do that.
Do that and then play.
So yes, cheat.
Yes, cheat. Yes.
But
ruin the game.
100% agree. They do an excellent job making every decision feel meaningful and important. But my question for you so far, do you feel like you are good rulers, kind and just rulers?
That's not
we're terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Well, on that note, go ahead.
We'll be continuing that game here in a couple more weeks. Peter was actually going to be involved in this game. He was not able to make the first section, but he should be joining us for the next one. And we will actually be playing above the player limit. We'll be playing with 6 people, 5 plus an AI, because we ran Peter as an AI this last time because I found a bot that you could use for a player. And everyone seemed to be a big fan of the bot.
Yeah.
Because it was such a huge wild card.
Yeah.
So that should be fun.
Yeah, it was that. I definitely liked that little extra little like, oh, we got crazy AI over there. What the hell is he gonna do?
All right. So is that it for you, John? Or
No,
Evan?
that was
Sorry,
it.
Evan.
That's it for me.
All right, John. What have you been playing?
Oh, I got a long list of things I play. I went from a veritable desert to just a cornucopia of playing games with numerous people. So here I got a game of Gia in, the one that we played, but I played it in person with somebody who had a copy of it with like all the expansions.
I think it's pronounced Zaya, but okay.
Zaya, Zaya, Gia.
I was like, I don't know what Gia is. Is it a pet?
Yes, the Gia pet. Like,
Gia.
Just put some water on it and it gets this frozen.
You're just flying, like Deadpool's head with the chia hair on it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's me.
I think we lost anybody who's under 30.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, played that one. That was pretty good. Enjoyed that. It was definitely long because we played the 15 points, I think. Or no, we played the 20. We played the 15.
Oh,
I
that'd
would
be
have won.
really
We played
long.
the 20. Yeah. So yeah. Won't go on that one too much since we already kind of did the playthrough of it and all that. Then I played some 2-player games with a few different friends. Rivals for Catan. I hadn't played that one in a while. That was a decent like 2-player game. It's and then also played Parks.
That's also a decent. That's a really small board, and that's the one with. Is that the one with you have these? You're just taking you're hiking across.
Yeah, you're hiking across
hike
the trail
back.
in different seasons.
Yeah,
so you don't have to go back. Yeah, but yeah, you hike all the way across, and then once everybody gets there, it's the end of the season.
Yeah.
And like basically all the cards, like for me, like it's definitely an aesthetic game. Like
yes.
It's thematic. Like all the artwork on it's beautiful. Plus like the components is like I was like, oh, it came with trays. I mean, it is way nicer of a game than I thought it was going to be, But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It's kind of the person I was playing with was a little bit more of a chill person. So, didn't want heavily competitive, games or anything like that.
And then you played Agricola.
No, next person we could have played Agricola with.
Yeah.
We played Splendor Duel.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I liked it better than Splendor.
Well, it's not much to be better than Splendor, and Splendor Duel is better than Splendor.
It's a low bar, but it was decent.
It works better. It's more balanced than Splendor.
Splendor was not good 2-player. It just
Splendor's
wasn't.
not good multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's just Splendor Duel 2-player where they reformat it a little bit is a tighter game and is a better game.
Then also played Star Wars, the deck building game.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so I played
the guy that hates Star Wars.
Yep. I mean, I just hate it so much. And then also played PAX, 2-player and 4-player.
Which PAX?
Oh
no, PAX. The one that's just called PAX. There's 8 million games called PAX, and you have the one that's just called PAX.
Colon anything, just
PAX, yeah. And it has it's the Roman one, right?
Yeah, it's the Roman one where you're in the time of Spartacus and you're rising up with the slaves against, Rome. Which I enjoyed that one a lot 4-player. Like, in fact, everybody liked it so much we played it a second time right after the first one. Because also it doesn't take too long either.
No. So yeah, I really want to play that game with you because I've heard a lot of good things with it. With people the art's a little wonky, but the game's supposed to be good.
Yeah. Yep. It definitely. Even I also played a single player, and it was also pretty decent that way too.
Okay.
It's a little more puzzly at that point because you're just kind of. But I mean, definitely the best was 4-player because then it was kind of you're competing. You're having to watch because you need to kind of watch what everybody else is doing and also what Rome is doing, and yep.
Fair
and
enough.
It was our first game was very tight. Like it was like 25, 24, 23, and 21 was the scores.
Oh yeah, that's pretty tight.
Yeah. And that was it for me.
All right, so I played a couple games. One of them's Cartographers, very old game, And cartographers is a flip and right, and you're just basically trying to fill up a map with different terrain types, and there's different goals per season. There's 4 different seasons. Technically, there's 4 different goals, and you get 2 of them every season, so they do overlap throughout the game a little bit. And you need to plan ahead because it'll tell you, you already know like D and A are the final ones, but A and B are the first ones. So you can try to like meet those goals and prepare to get extra points at the end of the game. The really cool thing that throws things off in this game is the attack cards, or whatever they're called in there. Basically, when they flip, you have to hand your sheet off to the player which direction is shown on the card, and they'll write whatever shape that's on there, monsters, and that can screw you up really royally, and you get a negative point for every space that's not diagonal that doesn't have something there around the monsters. The scores, like 50, 60 is good, 100's amazing. So, and you play over the 4 rounds and you score every round. So it's a pretty tight game. It's a pretty fun game. You have to be very careful with your polynomial shapes that you're writing down, because you do get heavily punished towards the end of the game when, if you can't write that polynomial shape down, you only put one tiny square, a baby square, just a baby square. But I really like that game. It's an older one, and that is Cartographers.
You know, I almost got Cartographers when I was at Origins last year.
I think you'd like it.
Yeah, I probably would.
I haven't played the Heroes expansion. I think that's what the expansion's called. I haven't played that one yet. I was struggling to find a game group that would play it like anything more than a couple times. I got my work group. We've played it at lunch, and I think we're going to play it a couple more times. And if it starts going, then I'll buy the expansion. Because I'll play it any time, but it's just one of those games that's hard for me to get people to play it repeatedly. So, but that's Cartographers. The other one I played, also very old, is Nova Luna. So Nova Luna is a pretty cool game. It's published by Stronghold Games. It should be Uwe Rosenberg. It is Uwe Rosenberg. So where it doesn't have polynomials in it per se, it does have the time part in it. So there's this moon clock that goes around, and you have this moon piece, and you have to pick squares. And these squares are going to have requirements for patterns that you have to meet to be able to put a disc on it. The first person to put their 20th disc down immediately wins. So you're racing down to put these little cubes down, and where you place them, you have to place other ones adjacent. So you're trying to meet all these patterns, trying not to screw yourself too much with how far you're moving ahead, because it's a rondelle. So if I move head 6, John moves 2, John gets to go again, like twice in a row, until he gets past me, and then I get to go. Really cool game. Really old game, I think. It's probably like 20 years old. I don't know off the top of my head. But that's it. I have some button shy games that are coming up that are different than I've ever played before, because they're more like story-oriented games. So I'm really excited about this one, like Family Dinner, and this one, I guess this is it. So those will be really fun to play because they're different. And I'm not really into solo games, but button shy games might get me into solo button shy games. But that's it for me.
Oh, you know, I did forget one. I did get to play Epic card game.
Oh, yeah. So what was your thoughts on Epic being a Magic player and all?
I really liked it. I mean, that's because, you know, again, having come from the Magic, you know, background, playing that for years. My friend who I played it with, Matt, he wasn't, he had played it once before and he wasn't too keen on it, but it's like, I'll give it another try. That's because when he played it where you just got dealt out, you know, 30 or 40 cards or whatever, and that was your deck. And it was
No, you cannot do that. You either draft or you have pre-made decks. That's the only two things you do.
Yep, and we drafted, and he loved it then.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Because then, you know, you're kind of like, then it's like the whole strategy with it. We were doing the 2-player open draft. And yeah, so
cool.
you basically pick, other person gets to pick 2, and you get the last one. So yeah, and you alternate. So yeah, he really liked that, and I did too, because I mean, one, I liked not having to worry about mana screw, because
it's not in there.
You can't get mana hosed, because you just basically always have 1 mana, and then you're basically instead building your deck on, all right, what powered cards do I want? It's like, then you're weighing between the 0 and the 1 cost cards, and trying to build a theme, and
you're looking for synergy and combos and all the stuff that's really fun.
Yep. Yeah, instead of just being like, oh, I just got lucky and that's what I was dealt. Yeah, no, that would have been no fun at all. No, so yeah,
you can't do it. I don't even think they even tell you to do it that way.
I think that there is, it says you can do it on that way, but
you should.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like for me, especially like since I love doing booster drafts and sealed deck, it's like basically limited in a box, and I don't have to keep buying Magic cards to be able to play limited with it.
That's true. You have your set, you're done.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to play some Epic with you. It's been a while, but it's a fun game.
Yeah, I would like to get like maybe 4 players and do it more like a booster draft style. Like take 1, pass it to left, and
I think there's some people online that showed to have like set. You have to do a lot of work to balance the boosters if you really, really, really want to do it. But there's people out there that have done it, so you could just take a look at that if you wanted to.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that because they even because I got the big organizer, so I could even make like, here we go, here's a draft set. I can make the draft set and make it so it's balanced, and like, here we go, we'll just drop that in there and have them pre-made.
Yeah, if you do that, if you just want to play, I'm all in. But if you want to do that, I'm definitely all in. All right. So Nathan died. Obviously, he's totally dead. So let's go ahead to our main.
By bring it back to Magic.
So let's bring it over to our main topic, and today is going to be our starter kits for newbies. I believe this is Nathan's topic, so Nathan can present his starter kit first, and then we can all mercilessly mock him, and then he can pick who's next, and then eventually you'll get mine, which will be the greatest.
Oh, so I'm going to do my whole set, right?
Yeah, I figured might as well do it like as your kit, because you're kind of like you're presenting,
It should be a rounded list of what you want to do. So yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I took approach to this. I tried to think about different styles of player and try to get some games that fit those different styles, but still in a way that most people would want in their collection. So something they can pull out if a certain group's coming over on a day. So first I'll talk about my large player count game. So this is for 5 to 6 players. Yes, you can play it with 3 or 4, but I think it works back with really 4 to 6. I think is actually the best for this one. And that's Downforce. It's just a nice, easy to learn game that you can play with. It scales well with very many player counts, anywhere up to 6. And basically in this game, you have a simple auction mechanic at the beginning where you are bidding for which cars you control. The hardest thing for a new person to learn is you're not necessarily. It doesn't really matter so much which cars you control, because you can win without actually having your car win. Because in this game, when you play a card, you have to move every car on your card, and once you pass certain lines on the board, everybody has to bid. And you get points for your betting, and then you get points for the places your cars finish in. So if you bet smartly, that can be a lot more points than what you could potentially get for your car finishing. And it's a light, fun game by Restoration Games.
Yeah, it's a good player count too. I think about 6. 6.
Yeah. It's best with 4 to 6. The next one on my list, since I don't really like too many party games, this is my closest approximation to a party game that I do really like, which is No Thanks. This is definitely a game that technically it's only supposed to be played for 8 players, but you get some. I could see easily scaling this up and figure out ways to get to higher player counts without too much issue. I haven't tried it yet, but the whole concept of No Thanks is super, super simple. You can teach it in 30 seconds or less. You have numbered cards. They're going to be drawn from a deck and revealed, and then people are going to take turns bidding, but they're bidding not to take the card because the number on the card is negative points if you acquire it. However, you are bidding using these little black chips that are positive points. So the more you bid, the more points you're giving away. And then the only other rule to it is if you happen to get sequential numbers, only the lowest number in that sequence counts. And it's just good for, a large group of up to 8 players, and it's light fun. You can, play it with one group, and if you have a large group than that, you can just kind of switch out who's playing. And it's a good icebreaker.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing that
a dozen times and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, next I wanted to talk about different other player counts. So I wanted to talk about a good 2-player game. And I particularly chose Seven Wonders Duel for my 2-player game. Now, Seven Wonders Duel, there's a little bit you might have to learn from somebody who hasn't played too many games. But the basic concept is it's a drafting game. You're going to have all the tiles laid out that you are basically taking turns, picking a tile, paying the cost, and sometimes those cards will help you pay the cost for other tiles. And there's multiple ways to win. If everybody's playing well and paying attention, generally it'll win by scoring points. But there are a couple instant win conditions. One of them being if somebody takes a lot of military cards and pushes the military track all the way up, and the other person's not paying attention and lets them do that, you just lost. But that puts a lot of strategy in it, where you have to pay attention to what people are trying to do and make sure you're taking not necessarily the best thing for you, but also making sure you're picking in a way that prevents them from taking things that they really need. The other instant win condition is by taking these science cards. It's just basically making a set of all the different sciences. And again, same thing applies. You have to pay attention to what other people are doing, what the other person is doing. I think it's a really good, solid 2-player game. And next on my list, I chose an abstract game that's great for people who like puzzles. And James happened to mention it earlier, and that's Nova Luna. So, Nova Luna, he already explained how it's played, but basically its concept is you are trying to make patterns with the cards you've acquired, and you get points. Well, once you have accomplished a pattern of different colors, you get to put a little marker on there, and once you've used all your markers, you've won. Pretty simple. He probably kind of talked quite a bit about it, so I think that's all I need to say about that one. And I chose a 3 to 4 player game. Now, this one is the questionable one because it might be a little bit too hard.
I'm jumping on this one. Let's see what you say.
And that's Wingspan. This is a game that's pretty well known for being largely considered a game for new players, but not being necessarily the best choice because people underestimate the complexity of this for a new player.
I don't know. I might argue with you in a little while about that. I don't actually think when you get down to it, the game itself is that complicated, but it's not as simple as like, no thanks. Definitely.
Right.
I think it's one of those, on the surface, it looks way more complicated than it truly is.
there's that, but I think because there's so many elements of this that are familiar to hobby gamers, when you're teaching somebody, it's easy to forget to teach those elements, such like the concept of combo building, and there's a little bit of a drafting element, sort of. But
I'm gonna almost argue that to teach someone, those are unnecessary. To be good at it, they are, but to play,
yeah,
because I have a lot of people that have never played board games that love Wingspan.
I think the easiest way to teach this is just explain. You basically have 3 actions. Well, 4 actions, sorry. And those actions are represented by the habitats. And every time you put a bird into a habitat, you've increased the power of that action.
Yeah, plus the iconography is really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to teach iconography and go through that, and it's easy to understand what each bird does.
Yeah, foreshadowing why I'm actually defending this so much, but whatever.
I think he doth protest too much.
Doth protest too much, yes.
The last choice that I'm putting forward is for those who love pure chaos.
No, don't do it.
Which one am I going to say?
It's still, man, my brain just went blank, but it's Cosmic Encounter.
Yes, it is.
I was thinking you were gonna say Flux.
Oh wait, no, that's not.
No.
No, get out of here.
No, Cosmic Encounters, the core concept is super simple. You are trying to take over colonies on opposing planets. Once you've taken over a certain number of colonies, you win, and you do that by attacking and negotiating. You attack, you try to get people on your side to help you, you play cards, and the highest number wins.
Sometimes.
Yes. The trick to it is everybody has a ridiculously overpowered player power. And you have to pay attention to what everybody's power is, because they aren't necessarily balanced. But if you have players that are experienced, have played this game a few times, they can easily spot, okay, this guy has a really powerful power. We all need to work against this guy. But then we also have to watch the other people, because at some point we're going to have to switch sides and target the other one and keep them from getting too hot. So that's my list. It's pretty a wide gamut of games. It's more of an idea of, you may not necessarily want all these games in your collection, but if you're interested in one of these types of games, those are good games for it.
All right, who do you want to have go next, Nathan?
Yeah, I was like, wait, do we tear apart yet, or do we wait till the end?
Oh no, you could go for it. Tear it apart. Might as well get each one done and rip that bandage off.
All right. So I mean, the only thing I feel about your set there is more of like you didn't have like enough. I don't know. Felt like enough unique mechanics there. Like, where's the dudes on the map? Where's the deck builder?
So what you have a problem with that? Okay. You just pointed to all of me.
Resource builder, some of those games, like, I don't know, I never played Wingspan, so I can't comment on that one really. But
what? Do you hate birds?
No.
Yeah,
I don't hate birds in Star Wars.
I do hate birds. I don't want to see them.
I thought a lot about that, but then a lot of the categories I wanted to include felt like next steps, like Blood Rage, which James might talk about. I didn't think that was necessarily the best one to introduce. That would be, once you've got your initial games and feel comfortable and want to learn something a little bit more involved, that would be a great choice.
I think Blood Rage is an example of a game that's bad for new players for the most part.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing with people that are all new players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I will go along with Nathan's on that one. Like, there are so many mechanics that you could go and throw out to people that are, trying to figure out their footing into the board game realm, that you can easily overload them with too many options. By only giving them 5 or 6 things, that might be the best way to approach it.
Wow.
And that's how
my approach, which is obviously superior.
Which I mean, that's
And
the
I
way
felt
that
like-
I went. I only pick only a few things.
I felt like most of these are like fairly mechanically light, but you get the hint of it. So like when you're actually learning that mechanic later for more advanced games, you have an idea of what to expect.
Yeah. So
I think that Flotilla would be a great starter game. for a
no,
newbie.
no, it would not. That would be the worst. No.
The game behind Nathan, Twilight Imperium.
We
Starter
should
guide.
start
Imperium,
everyone
yeah.
off. Your first game should be on Mars and just
Deployment.
cry. Like the whole.
No, on Mars is simple. What are you guys talking about?
What are you talking about? I'm getting ready to teach
Mars
that
is
next
a
week.
cakewalk of a
It's like
game.
a 30-minute teach minimally.
No, it ain't like Feudum or whatever it is, where it's like that's like a 3 hour.
It's actually the same weight. It's Feudum.
I can't. No, it can't.
It
be
is.
the
Look
same
it up.
way.
BGG. Never wrong. Never wrong
Okay.
is BGG.
So my new list is Twilight Imperium,
Twilight Imperium.
Anachrony, Feudum, and North African Campaign.
There you go.
That should be
I got it
everyone's
wrong.
versus North Africa campaign. If you continue playing board games after that, you just win. You win all of them.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
win life.
No, the weird thing is I hate Cosmic Encounter. I should love it, but I don't know. Like I don't have fun playing it. I just don't like it. And I don't know why.
It's a game that I found can be really fun, but every once in a while, there's just a player that it doesn't click with. So not everybody will love it.
I have
And
fun
then
playing it. It's just like,
When it doesn't click with one player, it kind of ruins it for all the players, unfortunately.
maybe, yeah. I don't know. It just meh,
Which is why it fell off my top 10.
as it should. Wow, burn. All right, who do you want to have go next before you have to suffer
Well,
more wrath?
Since you're talking so much smack, I think we should get an opportunity to talk smack about
All
you.
right. So I just did a true newbie starter kit. So I picked 5 games that I think that if you wanted to get into board gaming, because board gaming is a social thing. So you're going to I picked 5 games that if you had that as your board game collection, you should be pretty good, be able to host a night, have some friends over, and play games with the caveat that they're not really super heavy gamers either. So the first one, I'm going to just start off strong on the first one because it is a very simple game to play, yet super addictive and a lot of fun and high replayability, and you can get tons of groups of people. I play with lots of different people and they've loved it. And that's a trick-taking game, and that is a cooperative trick-taking game, and that is The Crew. In The Crew, you're going to pay over 50 missions, and each mission is progressively getting more difficult. But the best thing about this is if you have people that aren't used to trick-taking games, this is the best intro to trick-taking games because you start off simple, super simple, and it doesn't get much more complicated for a pretty long time. So you can become a master at trick-taking games, or at least the understanding of that, with The Crew. I can't understate how amazing that game is and how much fun the game is to play and how each one is just different enough to keep you engaged as you go along, even when you fail. It's just a lot of fun. Really great game. That's The Crew. Yeah, John's wrong. Anyway.
No, this was on my list and I forgot about it.
You
I forgot
did.
to mention it.
The other one is another game that is generally considered by almost everyone as an intro game, but yet it does have a ton of replayability to it. I have gotten tired of this game from playing it too much, so I'm not one for wanting to jump into it too very much, but I do appreciate that it is a great game for intro gamers, and that is Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is an amazing game, starting game for groups and families and people that aren't really hardcore board gamers. You can teach it real quick. It's really fun creating those sets, putting those trains out, trying to complete your tickets. Game goes by pretty quick. You teach it in like 10 minutes flat and you're ready to go. So Ticket to Ride is an amazing starter game. You're like, ta-da! Oh, that could happen. All right. So my other one is going to be Wingspan. So Wingspan is a light medium weight game. So it is not, there's a bit to it, but I've played with tons of people that have never played board games at all before, and they got into it really, really quickly. The big things with Wingspan is beyond the birds, which wasn't really interested in birds until I started playing Wingspan, and I'm still not interested in birds outside of Wingspan, is the sort of like the loose sort of combos that you can create throughout the game, and sort of be able to this tableau and have this little engine fire off. The engines never really are that amazing normally, but it's a lot of fun to have at least some impactful thing every turn. So in general, you're always going to do something cool. You're going to get these really chunky eggs that you can place out. You're going to be able to place another bird out. You're always looking at the bird feeder. There's some investment on everyone's turn, and the game generally goes over pretty quickly. So Wingspan, I think, is a great game to have in your collection, and maybe move on to with your beginner group, and they want to play something a little bit more than normal. My other one is going to be a worker placement game, and some may argue this one might be a little too complex, but I also think that I've had a lot of intro gamers enjoy, and that's Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep is a pretty straightforward worker placement game. You're getting cubes, you have colored cubes, and you know what you need to do. You need these cubes to complete these quests. So it's all laid out in there, and you're just trying to get points. In the essence, it's a very simple game. There's not a whole lot going on there, and there's actually not much of a theme. There's no theme to the game at all. However, the theme is very draws a lot of people in, which is a D&D theme. So a lot of players might get into it because of the D&D theme, but it's a pretty simple game. It's a really straightforward worker placement game, and I think it's like a good starting point to get into worker placement games in the future. So that would be Lords of Waterdeep. I already see some dissent there. Some dissent. Why is there some dissent?
Yeah.
These are
I think we're
perfect.
going to have a lot to say about your
You're
list.
gonna have a lot.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a lot.
At least
to
that
say.
last pick, definitely.
Okay, so my final pick, though, that's my fifth game, is going to be Sushi Go. Sushi Go, it is an amazing game to teach drafting. It is a drafting game. There is nothing other than drafting in Sushi Go. It's very simple to teach. You're going to be, if you don't know what drafting is, you're going to be having a hand of cards. You're going to pick one in it, and you're going to pass the rest over. Then you're going to play that card. You're trying to collect sets. You're trying to... And these sets will give you different sets of points, and you're trying to do different things. But in essence, you're going to be learning drafting throughout the game, and the value of watching what your opponent's trying to do to try to like negate their points and be mean a little bit. But it's a very fun game. It's a very fast game. So even if someone is hate drafting you a little bit more than they should be, the game goes by pretty quickly, and you can get revenge the next game. So that's my list of 5 games.
Oh, one. Did we have to limit ourselves to 5?
No, absolutely
No, okay.
not. I just figured if you had 5 games and you were like, I don't really want to be in the hobby too much. I just want to have a little collection of games that I can bring out and play with whoever that comes over that wants to play board games. And I figured that would probably be a great little sort of library of games.
Well, look, you did really well. I mean, Sushi Go was a solid choice, because that was one of the ones I was trying to debate, was trying to figure out a good drafting game that wasn't, either just too meh, or just too involved, required, because I was like, yeah, it's a wonderful light, or it's a wonderful world. It's like, I would consider that's what I would take somebody to after Sushi Go.
Right. Sushi Go is just pure, simple drafting. Super, super simple. And engaging, too. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had thought of that one.
and good set collection too.
And good set collection. That one's a great game for that.
All right, but Lords of Waterdeep.
What?
I mean, that is not an intro game. I would.
What?
No, because there's just way too much other things, or you're also having to balance out. The actions are way too tight, and also it just takes too long.
Well, it is the longest game on my list. It is the longest game on my list. But I'll tell you,
and
every
rule teach too.
I don't know. I could teach it really quick. I don't know if everyone can, but I've been teaching it like pretty much every convention twice a year for a long time. So I can bust through the rules in probably 15 minutes that matter. And
Yeah, but still, for
I can-
me, like you had it good with like 5 minute rule teach, like with Ticket to Ride.
okay, so I can see where you're going. It's like all my other games you can teach in 5-10 minutes flat.
Yeah, those are all
Even
great
Wingspan's like so.
Well,
But
I think Lords of Waterdeep. I don't think it's that hard to teach, and I kind of agree with you if it can be an intro level game. My issue is I don't think it appeals to that many people.
it appeals to a lot more people than play board games. I can tell you that. It's a wider audience.
Possibly, but I mean, I don't know. It just feels like there's just too many other things, and there's like too easy for you to just wind up kind of hosing yourself. It feels like of those games, it's the ones that has the most pitfalls, especially for somebody who's not as familiar with games.
Well,
If you play with just like one person on the table who has experience, you're going to be at a disadvantage.
But yeah, I don't at Wingspan. I don't actually think you're a disadvantage if other people know how to play per se. But Lords of Waterdeep, to a certain extent, you're at a disadvantage, especially when the people know the quests that are the higher point quests that'll get them. The other one I was considering, I wanted a worker placement game in there that is a pure worker placement game. Stone Age was one I was thinking about because Stone Age is an amazingly simple and good worker placement game, but it's not in print. So if you can get a copy of Stone Age that's not $1 billion, that is an amazing worker placement game for new players.
Yeah, that was the problem with some of my games. I had to kind of like shave off my list because I don't think you can get Miskatonic School for Girls.
No, or you're like Lord of the Realm. Oh,
Yeah.
So, a couple other things. Well, I do agree Sushi Go is a great choice. I do feel like it's not a game that would stay in your collection after.
I think you'd be surprised with people that don't get into the hobby. So a game like Sushi Go or No Thanks will disappear from people's from normal play if they're like hardcore gamers. But like Evan, you probably bring that out when people come out over. Yeah,
that's exactly the only reason I still have it. It's one of those. Oh, I don't play well here.
Yeah, Sushi Go is one of the games I have that if people are like, and the crew, if people are like, I don't really play board games, I'm like, I got something for you. We're just going to teach you in 2 minutes and we're going to play and everyone's going to have fun. So
are you saying, Nathan, you don't have Sushi Go behind you?
I've only played it once, actually. I don't own it.
I lost both of my copies, which I'm planning on getting another one. But my daughters took them. So I lost Sushi Go.
Is that really losing them though, as much as investing?
I guess, but I still need my own copy at some point. And I have like 8 copies of Ticket to Ride that I never play. So,
and I wanted to say first, Ticket to Ride, I feel just like you do for Cosmic Encounter. This is a game that I don't see a reason I don't like it. It just never clicked with me.
Yeah,
I've never really enjoyed Ticket to Ride.
I played Ticket to Ride a couple times, even though I don't want to play it anymore. But I actually just switched it around where I don't even play Ticket to Ride when I'm playing it. I just collect cards and I just have fun watching other people do cool things. So, like the one game, I didn't even look at my tickets. I was just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna try to make the longest runs I can because you get points for the trains that you put down. So I was just trying to like get as many points as I can, and then have my tickets subtract against them unless I accidentally completed them, and then see what my score was. So I was just having fun with it, but yeah.
Other than that, I have no problems with your list.
Yeah.
Win!
Yeah, I only had a problem with one, and I felt like the Ticket to Ride and Sushi Go were good choices.
All right. So I guess
actually, there was another comment on Wingspan that I forgot to mention, and I don't think you mentioned. I realized recently Wingspan does something somewhat uncommon, where it's like a lot of new games they like to do the take that. Wingspan doesn't do that. It actually encourages you to actually help other people a little bit. There's rather than attacking people, you do actually occasionally benefit other players by having certain birds out.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, there is some take that cards in Wingspan with some of the expansions, but they don't matter that much.
Mm-hmm.
They're very minor things, and most of them are reactive anyway. Yeah. Like the majority of anything that they're reactive. So like if you lay an egg, I get to lay an egg.
But does not take that.
I swear there's at least one or two that are. Like you take an egg off. I can't remember. Whatever. Maybe not. But there's definitely reactive cards.
Yes, but there's a lot more helpful cards.
Yeah.
I thought was interesting and nice for new people that are learning.
Yeah, like you put one that down that gives everyone a worm every time it hits. That's pretty amazing when people do that. You're like, free mana. All right, who do you want to go next, Nathan?
Oh, it's back on me to choose again?
That's your topic.
I mean, it was you though. Well, I guess it's topic, so yeah.
Okay, let's go with Evan because he's been quiet.
The quiet one.
Okay, so I took a slightly different approach for my list.
Oh, it's already going to be bad.
So I picked 5 games.
Okay.
And of those 5 games, I tried to hit a couple different game mechanics into that.
Okay.
But I also chose games that I figured none of you guys would pick.
Okay.
So it would be a different selection. And also, all the games that I picked are typically $30 or less.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Oh, that's I didn't think about that.
So as somebody that is probably getting into it, that is trying to dip their toe in the water, may not want to invest in $50 to $60 games. This would be a good way that you could hit certain things, see if they really like it, with investing minimal amount of money.
I'd be mad if your list is better than mine, but 3 of my games are under 30.
I think Wingspan's my only one that's be over 30.
It's like 50, I think, or something right now, but yeah.
So the first one, it's the most expensive one. MSRP is higher, but usually you can find it in on sale for right around that $30 mark. Is a fantastic 2-player game. It has multiple levels of strategy in it, but it is easy to learn, and on the base level of playing the game is fairly simple. And that's a game that I have it right here.
I knew you were going to say that.
So Scott Alm's game, where you are baking bread, brewing beer, multiple use cards, and does a great job of that. There's some resource management, but it is a fantastic 2-player game. The game is not super complicated to learn, but it is hard to really master the game. So it's kind of got those levels where you can kind of work your way up. If you just want to play it to have fun with somebody, you can easily do that. If you want to be competitive with somebody, it does give you that complexity to also do that. And I think it is a good example for that kind of style game. So next one I picked is a good dice chucking game, King of Tokyo. Typically, you can find that in so many places for $30 or less for somebody that's starting off that maybe has only played big box games and is not really sure on where to go. And if their favorite is Yahtzee, this would be a good segue into playing games. There's not really much to it. You're a monster that is trying to wreak havoc in Tokyo versus all the other monsters, and you're either trying to get victory points or destroy the other monsters by rolling the die, collecting the different phases, and they all do different things onto that. The rule book is a front and back of a sheet. It's fairly simple. There's a little bit of strategy into it with the upgrade cards and the energy mechanic into it, but I don't think that the level of that is too bad at all. And I think it's a pretty good segue from, like I said, someone that's a fan of Yahtzee to move into something a little more game-like. So the third one I picked here works with hidden information. and it's actually a game that I'm really high on right now, and that's Picture Perfect. So right now you're seeing that a lot, especially at Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that, for 20 to 25 bucks. So you're hired as a photographer for this fancy party, and you're trying to accommodate as many people's wishes for a picture as you can. And everybody's wishes for who they want to stand, where they want to stand, and all that is hidden information. It's all in Clue-esque style folders that are out. You have so much information in front of you that you have, and then every round you get to move around that information. So you have to collect more and trying to keep information away from people. Overall, the rules are not super complex. You can easily get that game going with people that aren't really that far into the board game realm, and getting them to play that game within 10 minutes. Plus it involves picture taking, which our modern technology world, everyone knows how to use one of these. So
What's that thing? No kidding.
I forgot, you still have the rotary, right?
I'm sorry, I only have a flip phone.
James is connected to us right now with a 56K modem.
Yeah,
That's
I
as
got
far as
dial up all day.
Yep. All I know how to do is play Snake on my phone.
Snake.
So the next game I'm going to talk about is a drafting game. And I really, really wanted to put Sushi Go into this one, but I knew that somebody was going to take that because of the style of what we're talking about. So I thought about it, and it was a game that I just played recently. And like I said, I'm not going to talk about it because I'm going to talk about it later. And I think it does not do a bad job in teaching drafting. Imperious. So Imperious, it's up to 4-player, and everybody's faction cards are all shuffled together in a deck. And you are handed out 5 cards, and you have to draft 1 card and pass it on. And in the game, your faction is trying to gain as much points to ascend the throne in the Space Kingdom. So once everyone's drafted all the cards, when there's 1 card left to draft, they all go into a pile, and then they're put out onto the planets randomly. So you have your cards, everybody else's cards, and you're going to be playing them on the planets. And you're going to be affecting what other people do or what you do based off what your cards are. So it's a really cool twist on drafting, because you're not just affecting what you're doing, but you're affecting what other people are doing. And it's like 8 pages, but there's a lot of diagramming into it. So once you slim it down, it's probably like 4 pages of rule. It's probably more complicated according to its rating on BGG than it really is. And overall, the game only has that mechanic in it. It's pretty much just a drafting game. So it gives a good example of learning how to play a drafting game, I think. Plus, bonus, you can buy it for about $10 right now.
Yeah, I was amazed how cheap that game is, and it looks really cool.
It's not that bad of a game.
Yeah.
Last one I'm going to talk about, and this one kind of handles a bunch of different things. Events, set collection, hand management, does it in a cute art style, and super, super simple to learn. And that is Doomlings. Doomlings, you're a creature on this world, and you're just playing cards out of your hand to give them upgrades so that they can survive the different eras. And as the different eras come out, they put different rules on what can be played, can't be played. And there's a little bit of take that, and it just kind of, there's a little bits of this and that into this game. You can get the game usually for about $30, and it's just a fun game that you can play in 20 minutes with a bunch of people.
All right.
Well, I haven't played most of your list, although I do really want to play Doomlings.
Doomlings is actually pretty fun. I got to play at the library game day, and the lady that was running it had the Kickstarter edition with everything. So they were all foily cards and cool stuff and whatever. But it was a pretty fun game. The end error scoring thing is something that is a big deal in the game. So next time I play it, I'm going to be trying to gear myself more to like rigging the end game scoring, which is cards that can do that as you play. But I liked it a lot. Oddly, which I do love the game, by the way, before I say anything about it. But Beer and Bread is by far the most complex game in your entire list. It's not a heavyweight game, but it's definitely a lot heavier than any of the other ones in there. In the amount that you have to know and do. But yeah.
Absolutely.
And really, I would be hard pressed to think of a simpler multi-purpose card game with potentially 50 First State being simpler, but that's a big maybe. They might be about the same. But I do love Beer and Bread. It's a better theme for most people than 50 First State, which is like a dystopia, everyone's dying, whatever, blah blah blah. But yeah, liked your list overall. I have nothing horrible to say other than the one mass market game you have at the end, but it's still a fine game.
And the reason I really went with Beer and Bread on that one too is, like I said, it's if you play it just for face value and not trying to go too deep into the strategy,
but you can.
The game's you can, but like it's not bad. It's still a fun game to play.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that makes it hard is grasping the concept of what you're playing now and planning for the next turn, because what you're playing now will affect what you have for your next turn. Will be challenging, but as you said, you can actually just play the game through and then kind of pick that up as you go, and then really play that better the second play.
Well, just to be clear, what it makes it super challenging, so people that this didn't get explained to, is throughout there's two different eras that you can go through. You can go through the good years and the bad years, or years of plenty, or whatever they call it. In the good years, when you have your hand of cards, you're going to pick a card that you're going to be playing. You'll play it. Your opponent will pick a card they're playing and play it, and then you swap hands. So that swapping hands, there's a lot of strategy in that. You had this hand, you're trying to plan things. You have to remember like what was in that hand versus what you're going to potentially get, and build your resources to be able to purchase those cards, which is the big strategy of the game and the hard part of the game, because you have a limited number of resources and each cards require different quantities of things. And if you don't get that right, you could be burning resources in the game. And when you burn resources, meaning you have too many because you have to do something to complete something, you're giving resources to your opponent. Because when you overflow your storage container, those resources become available to your opponent just to take. So there's a ton of replayability in the game, in the fact that you're trying to be more efficient. You're trying to be more engaged in the game and how the other player is playing. And for a two-player game, that's amazing, because you are 100% paying attention to what your opponent's playing and doing all the time.
Oh, I forgot about the swapping hands thing. But wasn't even what I was talking about. I was talking about there's certain cards you play that.
When you play it,
become your resources.
Yeah, when you're in your plentiful years, the cards that you play for the resources, when you move into the lean years, you pick those up. Those are going to be your hand, plus you refill up to 5.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of pay attention to what you're playing, because you're using them again for the next round.
It's just so many layers of strategy in the game that you can have that it makes it amazing. So there's so many different things that just make it great.
I suppose for someone that's completely new to gaming, you could have not do the whole swapping hands for the first playthrough.
Nah, you guys to do it for that game.
But really, I mean, you can play it. I mean, there is the layers to it, but I mean, you just can build your way up into the strategic thinking for it.
Because I think that swapping the hands and then placing those cards down for the resources, then picking them, is like the big meat of the game and the big thing.
Well, I have almost no memory, so I kind of could not put any strategy into what was in my hand.
I didn't remember who that hasn't done their list yet. I'm like, that's John.
No. I do have one comment though on Evan's list there, and that is, I just don't like King of Tokyo.
Yeah.
I can understand why a lot of people do, but I don't know. It just.
I'm not a huge fan of that game anymore, but it's still around, much like my copy of Sushi Go is, for that reason.
The power-up cards really make it better.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're super simple too.
Bread is the only one I consider that I've actually technically played. King of Tokyo, I played one game of it, but it was the shortest possible game of it you could possibly play.
Was it with my daughters or just like killing everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody died really quickly. I think it only went for one or two.
They don't
rounds.
care if they die. They're just like, I'm killing.
Yeah, I have that one. Like I said, just because like I keep my copy of Sushi Go. My oldest likes King of Tokyo, so that's the other reason I have it. So
That's a great
But-
kids game.
That's good though.
That's a great kids game.
There's one moment I can never forget because I remember you were setting up a game. While you were setting up that game, we said, "Oh, let's play King of Tokyo." You hadn't finished setting up the game by the time we were done with King of Tokyo.
Yeah, they play for Bud, even if it's their own. All right. So, John, what is your amazing starter kit for newbies? Right off the bat.
Here's how I went about it is I wanted to go with you're a
Vertigo?
person hosting newbies. And this is your kit for what games you need to bring them into the hobby.
So this is your cubby hole of games you put in a corner, but
already terrible choices. Terrible.
choices.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Let's see what's
But,
happening.
You know,
Here.
for me, these are also all the games that I brought in a lot of people into the hobby with.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm not just picking these as
I'm flipping this
I think
table
it's-
if you say Risk.
Huh?
Nothing.
No. That's not something I brought people into the hobby with. No.
Or Diplomacy.
That would be great, but I've never played it myself.
Oh,
so-
really? Well, then
Yeah.
you haven't.
I have it on my
hate
shelf.
yet.
No. So yeah, that's where I was coming at. I was like, okay, what games could you bring in? And it gives you like the kind of the base set to like introduce people, and then they'll kind of go on and start playing like Tricarion on their own, and that's like all they'll play is heavy games now. But so I was like, all right, you kind of need to also have like a wide variety of different mechanics and tastes. So I'm going to start with the one that James is going to love the most, Dixit. I mean, it is a great game because it teaches, basically like alternative scoring methods, kind of thinking out a little bit outside the box, nice art, and it's for people who aren't really into games, but you want to introduce them to something that isn't Monopoly. That is something I've gotten a
Pretty
lot
darn
of
close.
who like teach the rules in a few minutes, and like I got my mother to play that one, and she hates playing games that isn't like Rummy Cube or Rook. So that alone is kind of like it's like it's in. I see that I knew that James was going to like it. That's why I started with that first, so he'll forget about it by the time we get to the end.
And with that, John is off the channel.
Woo! All right. So with that one, then I had my next one that I used that I played with a lot of people and kind of brought them into heavier board games, and that was Ticket to Ride. So kind of don't need to go over that again. It's a lot of the same things, teaches like area control and like watching what everybody else is doing, and I mean, it's a great game for that. It's easy, just easy setup too, and you're just into it and playing. So that's kind of was the angle there. Then, as far as getting to worker placement, I got something I feel was a little bit better than, let's say, Lords of Waterdeep. It's a lot simpler. Kingsburg. Basically, you got the whole worker placement. You got to worry about your sets of dice, and like you have a little bit of other things. But it's kind of like maybe for your groups that aren't going to like a game like Dixit. They want a little bit more meat to it, but it's still you're kind of bringing them into worrying about placement, turn order. Like, okay, there's reasons for doing this, and I got to watch out for what somebody else might do. Then I might get hosed and not be able to use my dice. It kind of teaches you a few of those things, but it's still pretty light, and it also has a nice set limit of time. All right. Then we have is that Kingsburg there that you have? Okay. So next one I had was another one. It's getting somebody into a hidden betrayer game. So there's also for groups that might be a little bit more social, and you have enough people, but it needs to be something kind of simple to grasp the concept of it. And that would be Dark Moon. It is, there's definitely like a whole like okay, do I bluffing and like, oh, all I had was negatives, oh, I couldn't help it. But thing is, though, you have like by the mechanics themselves, people who might not be the best at lying at least have natural covers, because like if you have nothing but negatives, yeah, you got a nice built-in excuse. And but you still have like enough of that social interaction. It's not too complex. It's very easy to teach. You roll dice and then you put a die out. And and it's quick to play for until you start getting into the arguments, but that's kind of like the whole part of it. It's a social experience. So I had my hidden betrayer game, got set collection, the worker placement, the weird game with Dixit. So then I was trying to figure out, all right, need a tile placement game too, to kind of teach them like, okay, maybe you didn't like any of these other games. Do you like these types of games instead? And as much as I hate it, I mean, a good game for that is Carcassonne. I don't know why. I like Carcassonne South Seas, but you can't get that one as easily. But just like base Carcassonne, I don't know why. I just never really like it too much. I would much rather play Castle Mad King Ludwig. That's a good game I like. But I feel like you got to get them to Carcassonne first before you get them to Mad King. I mean, my group, I did start them with Mad King, but that was after we already played a bunch of other stuff though. Like they were already starting to get into heavier games at that point. My last one I was trying to debate on was, I couldn't figure out a good deck builder that was still in print, or at least easy to get. So then I was kind of like, all right, a dungeon game-ish kind of, exploration game. And then I was like, all right, you want Betrayal on the Hill? It's not too complex, but, it's a good game of teaching people, exploration, tile placement, and kind of like it's kind of like almost the graduation game from the Newbie set into, other games like, I'd much rather play. But, it kind of, it gets them in the idea of thinking, okay, we have different things that can happen, getting people into, oh, there's like events and stories and like other things that can happen. And you start getting into like legacy games and things like that. It's kind of almost like a starter into that direction as well. Now, that was my thoughts there before going with Betrayal on the Hill or Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. Maybe going with one of the other more interesting, reskins. But yeah, that was my set.
Time
and then why not
destroy.
Catan while we're at it too? That one speaks for itself. Oh, I had so many people I brought in with that.
No. Okay, so let's start off. Dixit, Mysterium's better.
Oh, I agree with Mysterium, but I feel
And
like
it's also an intro.
I think that one's maybe a little bit too complex for
No, because you said these were games that you would bring out to play with newbies, so you'd be the ghost.
That's true. Then okay. Then all right. Then I changed my Dixit answer to Mysterium. Then
okay.
Yes,
so
better game.
I actually think this game is a better game than Lords of Waterdeep for worker placement because it's cleaner. It also does dice placement like Kingsburg, but better in the way that it's cleaner. And that is Alien Frontiers. You can't get any simpler than Alien Frontiers for dice placement. It's straightforward, and yet there's a lot of different strategies you can have. I can teach this game in like 5 minutes flat, and they're playing it, and they got dice placement. Not that Kingsburg's bad. I'm just saying this one's like, you're talking Newbie.
Yeah, that one also.
This is Newbie.
I could see. It depends upon if you like sci-fi or fantasy. Then I guess then that point. Then it comes down to theming.
Even with theming, though, I think that game is super simple for like dice placement. Like it's even on the board. So like you can't mess up dice placement. It's
also on the board too. You got printed numbers, Kingsburg.
But these are like, I don't know. These are like there's only 5 places 5-6 places total on the entire board that you can possibly go.
Yeah, that would be the only knock against Kingsburg in that way, is that there's a lot of places to go on. But I mean, a lot of them are all very simple, and the iconography is also very good on it too. So I mean, you know what you're
It
getting.
is. There's just a lot more decisions in Kingsburg that you can make. In Alien Frontiers, there's not a lot of decisions, and it's really straightforward what you have to do. And the other advantage is you score as you go. So you know what everyone's score is like on their turn all the time.
I'm going to be the one to talk about Betrayal on the list. And I like the game. I do like the game. But the problem with it as a newbie intro game is you run the risk of having a very big newbie becoming the betrayer and not being able to get help.
Well, yeah, and this, I don't think Betrayal, House on the Hill, or Baldur's Gate would work at all if you didn't have someone that knew how to play games teaching it, because it is a bit. I know it's like a mass market game-ish now at this point because it's everywhere, but it's still a bit. There's very few people I know that outside of the board game hobby that actually play it. But
I mean, for me, like, I don't know, whenever I'm like running the games, half the time I'm not even playing it myself. So I mean, I'm there as kind of like the guide, if you will. So for Betrayal, if somebody new gets it, I'm there to help them. Because I mean, I used to run like some board game nights, at a few coffee places. So there's a lot of times that especially if like it's everybody's first time, I actually don't want to be in the game because I don't want to play against people with when I have experience and they don't. I want to share the hobby with them and bring them in and get them an interesting experience.
Now you mentioned.
So what do you?
Go ahead.
So one of the games on your list is a game you never get to actually play.
For me personally, yeah. If I'm teaching new people after they already taught, then I can play it myself. Yeah.
Okay.
So you were saying you're trying to think of a good intro level deck building game that's available right now. I would submit that would actually be either Hero Realms or Star Realms. Very simple games. Hero Realms, I think, is even easier to teach than Star Realms per se. They're about identical.
Yeah.
But it's like if you like sci-fi or you like fantasy, there's whatever. And those are really good examples of Market Ralph style deck building games.
Yeah, see, I mean, I wanted to go with like Miskatonic School for Girls, but like, Fun to 11 went out of business, years ago.
Right, and you can't get it. But like Star Realms, Hero Realms, you can get for like $15, whatever.
Well, another good one that I would throw in there for deck building too would be Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. I think is a very good deck builder game. It's really cheap, and if you're really into that IP, it's a fantastic way to go.
Well, not only that, it also not legacy, but it sort of gives that legacy feel as you go along and you unlock stuff. So it's really cool unlocking stuff. The only thing that I say knock against Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is it loses replayability after you finish it. But it is a really fun game. It's a really fun game.
I was also considering Res Arcana, but it might be a little much.
No.
Yeah, also, I couldn't think of a good starter dudes on a map game. I mean, I think pretty much all of those are at least medium level, like you've got them in, you got to be a specific person to want to play a dudes on a map game already.
Yeah, it's usually a next step game kind of level.
If I thought about it a little bit, there's probably a couple I could think of that are pretty darn simple, but like Axes and Allies is really simple.
Yeah, I was going to say Spirit Island, but
Spirit Island's actually
that's too complex.
Yeah, you can play some of the starter spirits in it to get into it, but that is not a newbie game in any way.
Yeah.
Well, Cyclades maybe, but it might be a little too Euro for the mass.
I think the bidding part plus that's way too much, I think. I mean, it's after they get into games, it's not much of a stepping stone, but
yeah, I
think you'd lose people with that one. The only one I could think of dudes on the map that's pretty darn straightforward would be Kemet. Kemet is pretty dang straightforward. There's not a whole lot in that. The most complex thing in the game is when you can purchase some of the monsters and stuff, and even those don't really do much. That's probably the simplest one that isn't Axis and Allies or Risk that I can think of.
Yeah.
Off the
Well,
top
I
of my
thought
head.
that was more complicated than Cyclades, but maybe I'm
Oh
wrong.
no, Kemet? No, nah. Mm-mm.
I just remember always having to pass around the list of what the monsters do, and
That is true. So the biggest downfall to Kemet is the fact of the stupid monster market. There's no easy way of remembering what the heck they do, so you have to pass
Yeah.
around that one sheet that they have. At
the
least
point where-
at least before the Kickstarter version.
yeah, to the point where when I played it, pretty much nobody used the monsters.
Yeah. They're really not that big of a deal in the game. At least I didn't find them to be huge.
I think we had like one monster enter the game when I played it.
Yeah. And you don't even, like I've had games where you just don't even need them and you win. So it's just like, I don't know if that changed a little bit Blood and Sand, because I think they streamlined the rules a little bit in that, and I have not played that one. Which is
I haven't played it
Kickstarter
either,
version.
but it did look like they definitely made it easier to bring the monsters in.
Probably. I think they added monsters too.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's my end of my hate for your list. Anyone got anything else? John, do you have hate for your own list? You're like,
Do I hate
maybe.
for my own list. I mean, yeah, yeah, I should have just gone with Mysterium, because I mean, I like Dixit too a lot. But Mysterium is the better game. I won't deny that.
Especially since you said it would be the list that you're running the game. Mysterium you can keep on rails, and since it's cooperative, everyone feels like they're contributing and having fun. So, but
and I take the hardest role,
right.
And I mean, I even thought about like my brother, who's also not huge in the games. I got him into playing that, and he loved it.
Yeah.
He even I had like a birthday party, and there were a bunch of people who were all playing games. And then after I taught him how to play it, they were over there playing it for like 2 more times. So
that's awesome. See, that's the mark of a good game. And it's not, after you play it, there's not much much more. Like, you got it.
Yep.
So, all right. So if that's it, we got our silly game. And tonight, Evan, Master of Miniatures, is going to be running our game.
All right. So I have been taking notes of all of the games that we have been talking about tonight.
Uh-oh.
And we're going to be using these to play our game.
Is that your Circle of Swords notepad?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure. Yep. Circle of Swords notepad.
I have a stack of them. As I get every con.
I got at least 1 or 2 of them around here somewhere.
Taking notes with my Tabletop Gaming Guild pen.
Yeah. We
have swag.
Yeah, Nathan didn't get any pens yet, but it's coming.
So I have taken down the names of every game that we have talked about in our newbie starter list.
Okay.
And we're going to be using the game that we have played a couple times, where I will pick somebody and you will give me a number. That number representing what is that weight of that game according to BGG without going over. The next person will.
Were you literally looking these up as we went?
I'm going to pull them up as I.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get that in depth.
You give him too much credit.
The next person will then, if you're not dead on, give another number, and so on and so forth until someone says they have gone over.
Okay. All right.
So basically, everybody but Evan has to close their BGG.
Yes.
Didn't have it open the entire time.
I already closed mine, so yep, we're good.
When you do get a chance later on, look up the weight of on Mars. It's oppressive.
Like 4.6, I think.
I had a hard time with the rule book. I got it down, and then there's a rules video by what's that? They FTM or whatever. They did a really good rules thing on Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
RTFM.
4.67.
RTFM. And it's 30 minutes long, and I finally got it, but like I had a hard time for some reason. And I don't normally have a hard time. I've played 0 of his other games though too. So I do hear once you play the other games it becomes a lot easier.
That's what I hear too.
It's just the idea of nothing seemed. I watched rules and nothing seemed very complicated. It's just the way that everything interconnects seemed.
Yeah, I don't know. It
Yeah,
still hasn't
no,
clicked with me, but I can teach it. So, but everyone needs to watch the video before I play through, because I don't got 3 minutes to teach it. But go ahead, Evan. Sorry.
So we are going to start with you, James, because you're the next person on my screen.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the game, and you're going to give me the weight. And remember,
Sure.
weight on BGG is 2 decimals.
Mhm.
So give me what you think the weight is for Cosmic Encounter.
2.6.
2.6.
Yeah.
It is not 2.6.
Okay.
So the next person on my screen, and this is going to be the same each time, is going to be John.
Mm-hmm.
Did James go over, or would you like to continue going on the scale?
This one's
Oh, he went
dangerous.
over.
This is dangerous. Because this is a subjective one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going with over.
Okay. So the weighting for Cosmic Encounter, you're going to kick yourself. 2.59.
Oh, I pretty much. That's not fair. You said 2-digit. Just round. You got to round.
I said 2 decimals.
2 decimals.
Said 2 decimals, baby.
So it's over by 0.01.
You were over.
Whatever.
So that
I
is a
call
point.
shenanigans.
I was thinking it was going to be like 2.4 or something. I didn't think it was going to be that close.
Oh,
So that is a point
I'm
for
happy
John.
that I was almost dead on.
Yeah.
I will say if you get dead on, I will give you 2 points because that was going to be impressive. So John,
Mm-hmm.
the one I am going to give you, I pull it up, is going to be Nova Luna. What is its weight?
2.2.
2.2. It is not 2.2.
2.21.
Oh, 2.21. It is still not 2.21. Nathan, did John go over, or would you like to?
Yeah, never played the game.
I think you went over.
I think it's 1.8 or something. That's my guess.
I was thinking 1.7.
John did go over. It is 1.87.
I'm on fire. I'm on fire.
So Nathan gets a point on that one.
I'm on fire with
That's
these.
fair. I never played that game.
You got no points.
I got no points,
Oh.
but I'm so dang close to all of them.
So Nathan, you get to start off on the next one. What is the weight? This should be funny. Of Sushi Go. Remember, 2 decimal points, please.
1.13.
It is not 1.13.
It's 1.15.
James?
It's 1.59.
Okay, it is not 1.59.
This is if it's 1.6, I swear to gosh. I swear to God. Swear to
Go
God.
with 1.6.
1.6. 1.60?
Yep.
It is not 1.60.
1.64.
I think he's over.
Okay,
I don't think
he
so.
is over.
He's over. What is it?
1.16. Nathan, you were so
I wasn't
close.
close there. All right. So Nathan got another point.
Another point.
What a bum.
So Nathan, you will start off this next one.
Well, I just started that one, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he started that.
Oh, okay. Yep. So it would be James then.
Fine. Skip me. No kidding.
All right. The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9.
Uh 2.01.
It is not 2.01.
It's 2.02.
I think he's over.
He is over.
What?
It is
1.78.
1.97.
What? That's another one. I'm only like a fraction off.
All right.
Easy.
Next one.
1.9 compared to 2.0.
John,
Yep.
what is the weight of King of Tokyo?
-10.
1.33.
It is
Repeating.
not 1.33.
Repeating.
Repeating.
Eh,
Is he over, Nathan, or would you like to put another?
Nathan, say 4.5.
Yeah.
Just so people know, 5 is the top, by the way. 1 is
I mean,
the
there are
easiest,
12 people
5 is
that
the top.
have voted King of Tokyo as a heavy game of 5.
Everyone does that.
Yeah.
Some
But
unknown
yeah.
reason.
those are known as trolls.
Or I don't know. Yeah, sure, we're gonna go with that.
I'll go King of Tokyo. So I'll go 1.41.
It is not 1.41. James,
Oh, I'm seeing this is super. It should be he's too high, so I'm gonna go with he's too high.
he is not too high.
Is it 1.7?
It is 1.49.
Oh,
So close again.
What
Nathan is leading.
1.3 repeating. That's right.
Nathan has 3, John has 2, and James, womp womp, nothing.
I call shenanigans. Shenanigans, I say.
Hey, you know what?
Hey,
I feel good on that one. I at least played that one and I got close to it. So, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so we are starting with Nathan on this one.
Evan. No, John. Sorry, John.
No, John
I
started.
that one. I started that one with 1.3 repeating.
You did? Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
And then he bit up. Yep.
All right,
I stand
one
corrected.
that we're going to start with Nathan here. Imperious.
He has never played that game, nor I don't think he's ever heard of it.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I heard of it. Well, no, I have heard of it before, but this is the first time I really getting any real information about it was when you talked about it. So, oh wow, I could take a wild
There's
guess.
tons of cards, and it's super complicated with. No, don't help.
No.
1.83.
It is not
He's too high.
1.83.
He's too high.
Too high. He is not too high.
What? What? That game is not hard.
Imperious is weighted at 2.67.
Probably 3 people voted on it.
12, thank you very much.
That's just as bad. It is not that high. It's a good game because it's super easy to teach. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard in any way.
James.
Whatever. Just give Nathan points is all I'm doing.
Yeah. Stop feeding him points. Feed me points. You know,
I can't. You're after me.
You could. You could just say, I guess 4.
5. I'm like 5. Go ahead.
Dark Moon.
Ah, crap. 2.1.
It is not 2.1. John.
Man, it's because I have to figure out, like, you know, what.
How many people voted for it?
Yeah, it's not that complex, but I mean,
127. Thank you.
127. That's a little better than 12.
Okay. In that case, I would say too high.
James gets a point.
Yeah.
boo.
That's what you get. That's what you get. I'm on the board.
I think just the fact that there's a hidden,
2.37.
just the fact there's a hidden trader pushes it up. I haven't actually played this. It's been on my shelf to play. But
burn. I got my point.
I was gonna say 2.3 something.
All right. John, right?
Yep.
Okay. Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah. You're gonna go high with this because you're like, it's too complex.
2,200 people voted on this.
Only 200.
22.
2,200.
2,200.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, so I'm going to say it's going to be 2.24.
It is not 2.24.
2.41.
It is not 2.41.
Can you give me
Yeah,
some
because you got to
points?
remember it's other people, not you, James, that's voted on this.
Is James sweating right now?
I have a number in my head that I think it is, but I want to say, oh no. Oh no. What did he say? 2.4 what?
2.41.
2.42. Price is right.
It is not 2.42.
Make John have to make the tough decision if we go past 2.5.
255.
It is not 2.55.
Oh, do I take James's tactic and do 2.56?
Maybe. Maybe.
I will totally do 2.56.
It is not.
I'm going with these 2 high
2.56.
now. Too high.
James gets a point.
Yeah, was it like 2.3 or 2.4?
2.45.
4.5. Okay. It was
Guys, you were right.
I was really close on my first class.
2 points, people.
Yeah, what was my first guess? I was like, what, 224? Yeah, I knew it had to be somewhere around there.
I was only 0.03 off with my
Yep.
2.41.
Nathan starts this one.
Nathan.
Wingspan. 2,600 people voted on this one, James.
Yeah, I figured this one would be a lot. It's a very, very, very popular game.
Number one family rated game.
Yeah.
25 overall.
So this one's complicated because people are known to have
Oh, don't
this
cover
as far
for
as how
yourself
complicated.
already. Yeesh. You're
But
like,
then-
oh, they're known to underrate it. Just so I can be wrong.
But I think people. There's probably a
You
fair
have to
number
keep
of
in
people that-
mind there's a large group of people who have only played this game and maybe brand new to BGG even too.
Yes. And therefore
give you-
probably think it's complicated.
I'll give you a hint. 9 people said it was a 5.
I'm surprised there weren't more trolls.
I don't know that all those people are trolls because legitimately for some people it is a 5.
I'm gonna go 2.27.
2 point what?
27.
Okay. It is not 2.27.
2.46.
James gets 2 points.
Yeah. Man, I'm crushing it now.
It is 2.46.
Wow.
So James had no points, while Nathan had 4, and he has now stormed back to tie Nathan with 4 points.
That's right, Nathan. How many does John have?
John got 2 points early and has done nothing since.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, this one is James to start off. So
Okay.
if he can just nail this right off the get-go, he wins.
Sweet.
So it's only fitting that we give him Dixit.
Frickin' heck. 1.89.
It is not 1.89.
How many votes?
I should have asked that. It's probably going to be a bit. There's going to probably be a lot of
2,200.
votes. Yeah, a lot of votes.
Okay.
So this one's probably going to be averaged pretty good. Maybe.
Yep. So we don't have to worry about outliers.
I mean, I could be too high, and you could say I'm too high, and then I can win now.
Yeah.
Or you can get yourself nudged up.
What was his bid again here?
1.89.
Yeah, he's too high.
He is too high.
No.
This is like the simplest game of all.
Is it
of them.
1.4?
I was about to say it's like 1.89. Yeah, what am I thinking? This is like easily. It's got to be like 1.24 is my guess.
This game makes
1.2.
sushi go.
Oh,
I was gonna say this game makes Sushi Go look complicated.
Guys are all.
So,
All right.
John finally got a point. It is now John with 3, Nathan and James both with 4.
So if I just get
Yep.
this one perfect,
You win.
all right.
Picture perfect.
He said he hasn't played that game.
He
I
has
played
played
that
this
one.
game.
Oh, you have played that game?
yeah.
All
I
right.
played this game like at least 2 or 3 times. I
I
maybe
haven't.
3.
Okay.
But I know how it's played at least.
Did
All
you
right,
watch the
so
video
here,
that
my
Evan did?
Yes,
many
actually.
votes?
Oh, good, good. What'd you say? 4.5.
No. How many votes? No.
30.
30 votes.
30.
So you're screwed.
Ooh. All right. That's
And 5 are at 5.
Yeah.
If I got that number right, I should get an extra point.
0 rated it a 5.
Well, some people are saying.
All right. So that means no trolling votes. All right.
Well, that is not true.
Well, they could be voting one, but I mean, one wouldn't. I don't know. I don't see that one actually being too bad of one to troll on. .01.
Okay.
It is not 2.01.
Nathan?
I think he's too high.
Nathan gets the point and wins.
What? I figured
It
too high.
is
See, I was waiting for Nathan to be like 2.1. I'm like, no,
1.9.
you're too high.
Ah!
What was it?
1.9
1.9.
even.
Yeah. I knew it had to be somewhere around 2, and so I was like, because I mean, I was like, there's enough of I could see some people voting at 3 because of the whole hidden mechanics. Like the hidden info.
Breakdown.
Hmm?
30 votes. 27 people voted at a 2. 3 people voted at a 1.
Yeah. I thought that. Yeah, I knew there was going to be a lot of 2 votes. I knew it had to be somewhere around 2. I just didn't know if it was going to skew a little bit above or a little bit below. I went the wrong way.
And I figured this was going to be a hard one because all the ratings are going to be really low, so it's going to be really tight to figure this out.
Yeah.
And the ratings tend to be fairly arbitrary.
Absolutely 100%.
No, they're completely subjective.
That's our silly game for tonight, folks. Nathan
Yeah.
is the big winner. So thank you for watching.
Yep. Everyone have a good night.